Hello, and welcome to Wine and Dynasty. This is our first show, first time on Pop Culture Co-op. Thank you for joining us. My name is LaRita.
I'm Alex.
And we are here to talk everything about Dynasty. 1981 Dynasty.
Original Dynasty.
That's right, OG, kicking it old school. Okay. Coffee, can you tell us, is the sound coming through?
Need a little help from our
Help from the chat.
illustrious chat.
You know, this is not as illustrious as my accidental live stream yesterday.
It's okay.
But,
That's okay.
Sounds
We're getting
coming
that
through.
fantastic. We're getting positive feedback. So everybody who's joining us on their lunch break, take your time now to open up your little Tupperware full of deliciousness.
And get a drink.
Oh, yes, and get a drink. We're going to take care of that right now.
That's right.
Let's see.
It would not be Dynasty without some champagne. So prepare.
That's correct. So this week for our wine on Wine and Dynasty, we will be enjoying.
That
Oh goodness, I
Moët.
gotta turn it this way. There we go. I don't know how to do this. How do you do the thing with your hand? I don't know how to do. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there it is. You got it.
Here we go.
All right. While you're working on opening up that champers, I am going to give a little background about Dynasty. So Dynasty premiered in January 1981. I was 5 months old.
I was not yet.
Not around.
Not around yet. Not quite there yet.
So it premiered as a 3-hour special, which back, in the olden times when everyone gathered around TV to watch a show together, good times. I kind of miss those days, and you didn't get to watch it again until it came back on in rerun. And if it
even did.
If it did, right? If you didn't see it, you missed it. So Dynasty ran from 1981 to 1989, and it had a total of 220 episodes, and there were spin-offs and movie specials. Come on, put your back into it.
Oh, you gotta remember, twist the bottle.
Twist the bottle.
Twist the bottle, not the cork.
Yes.
Oh, there we
Yes,
go.
here we
So
are.
a little pointer, everybody remember, when opening sparkling wine, you wanna twist the bottle and not the cork.
Not the cork.
Not the cork. Never the cork.
Thank you. Just give me that pour.
Absolutely.
Because it's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world.
It's true. We're about to get...
And it's always someone's birthday.
It is always someone's birthday.
I wonder who has a birthday.
Today it's my birthday.
It's Alex's birthday. Ooh, ooh.
Cheers.
Cheers. And cheers to Belle, who said was 10 when Dynasty came out. So you got to enjoy it.
That's true. And I will say, now for those of you who were alive during this time or whose parents were fans of Dynasty, I personally came from a Dallas home, not a Dynasty home. So I don't remember anything about Dynasty.
Same.
Other than the fact that everybody thinks that I was named after Alexis Carrington, which I was not. I want to put that on the record. My full name is Alexis, but I was not named after Alexis Carrington from Dynasty, though we are not going to meet her until the second season. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay
Absolutely.
tuned.
I, too, came from a Dallas family. And actually, what led me to watching Dynasty was I just remember all of the hype over who shot JR. And so I was like, who did shoot JR? So I started looking for TV shows to watch. And sadly, where I was living, I did not have access to Dallas. So I was like, all right, Dynasty
Dynasty it is. Now, I personally remember JR as Carol Lambert's husband on Step by Step. I'm going to date myself a little bit. So I was not really as invested in Who Shot JR. I more was invested in Carol Lambert's husband. Exactly. So, but I'm very invested in Dynasty.
That's right. So Dynasty, the first season when it came out was kind of, it was meh. People were like, okay with it. It peaked at number 1 in 1985, and then it kind of fizzled out from there. It was abruptly canceled. Then they revived it with a special, and then we saw the spin-off, The Colbys.
It's true. The Colbys, which starred Charlton Heston, by the way. Talk about some big names right now. Charlton Heston, y'all.
Yeah, primetime soap operas, they launched some careers.
They ruined some
extended it. They definitely did. So you want to tell me about the showrunners?
I will. So I'm responding to somebody in the chat. Sorry, I'm modding and drinking and talking. So Dynasty was actually created by a husband and wife team. Oh, thank you very much. Richard Allen and Esther June Shapiro. Both of them were writers and creators in the industry for a while, working on shows like Bonanza, Route 66, Tarzan. Now, I've never seen any of these shows. But I've heard that they existed, and I think that people liked them. I mean, I've heard of Bonanza.
Yeah, I mean, and congratulations to Esty for getting that money.
Oh, she definitely got that money. And let me tell you, she was a very popular lady. I mean, Aaron Spelling gave her some big props. We had a lot of people who really thought that she was the brains of the partnership. And during a lot of interviews, when they would talk to her about her characters, you know, they would kind of imply, was she a little bit more like Alexis? Was she a little bit more like Crystal? And she very emphatically liked to say that she was Blake Carrington.
Okay. All right. Yes. And that's some big dick energy right there.
I'm telling you, I once I read that, I was like, yes, that is amazing. I'm here for this. So, you know, when they saw the success of Dallas, they were like, we want to get in on that big primetime money.
That sweet oil money.
That sweet oil money. And they were looking around at American pop culture at the time. And, you know, that oil crisis was real big in the news. And they were like, we're going to take Dallas and the oil crisis and Colorado.
That's right.
We're going to make a show.
Yeah, and sprinkle a little bit of I, Claudius in.
That is true.
So
Yes.
Esther said that she was in part inspired by the 1934 book I, Claudius.
That doesn't surprise me.
About an emperor. So I'm like, I think that for Esther to be like, I am Blake, I am an emperor.
She is.
That is.
She had a dynasty. She did have a dynasty.
She really did.
And in 2011, there was rumors of a possible prequel happening that would have been set in the 60s.
Oh my.
It's true. Joan Collins hinted at it during an interview.
Oh, Joan.
However, as of 2021, we have no prequel.
Well, there's always hope.
Exactly.
We can only go up from here.
We're holding
terms
out.
Of television.
We're holding
Absolutely. I'm just gonna scoot closer.
Okay, that's fantastic. Hello. Hi. Oh wait, that's too much. Okay, I'm gonna sit here. There we go. I don't want to block your escape.
Okay,
fantastic.
So the show opens with these majestic, sweeping views of Colorado. I think I've flown over Colorado before, but it's impressive. It's quite impressive. We see mountains, we see the downtown area, and then finally we go up the long driveway.
Very long
driveway to the Carrington home, where in his study, surrounded by books, it's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast library situation.
It definitely is.
Blake Carrington is sitting at his desk. A lot of wood. There's like a roaring
very
fire.
Masculine 80s
it's a
colors.
Fire-fitting Robert Baratheon. Like
Ooh, yes.
as if Blake comes in and roasts an elk in his library fireplace.
He has those little decanters, like the fancy liquor.
It's very fancy.
It's very fancy.
Very fancy.
Very
so
fancy.
That's our first introduction to Blake. Blake gets into his limousine, which is very beige inside, I think we noted. Very
beige. But also that was the 80s, y'all.
It was.
It was the 80s.
It's like, oh, it's beige, it's hard to clean, it's very expensive.
We love it. We want it in a
expensive.
carpet.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So Blake hops in his ride, and his chauffeur takes him to crash his fiancée Crystal Jennings's bridal shower.
Her bridal shower.
And now the bridal shower to me is very 9 to 5, which came out, a film with Lily Tomlin and Dolly Parton, came out a year later, but everyone's just serving face. Everyone's got those shoulder pads.
Oh, shoulder pads.
So many shoulder pads.
Amazing. And as she's unwrapping her gifts, she receives one quite memorable gift, which causes a scandal.
Only a scandal with Doris. Doris is such a downer.
Okay, you know what, though? I feel like Doris is like a quiet minx. Like, put a couple drinks in Doris, maybe not take those shoulder pads off.
Okay, no, because Doris gifted Crystal a riding crop, and everyone's making jokes about, oh, what is this?
This is what I'm saying.
Doris is like, no, you're like rich now, so you're gonna ride horses, so you need this riding crop. And everyone else is like, it's for the bedroom.
Horses.
It's for the bedroom. Yeah,
riding horses. I'm just saying, maybe she doesn't want to be caught out like that. I'm just saying.
So yeah, so we get to the joy of sex.
Tell me a little bit
about the joy of sex.
Oh my goodness. So I'm sure that all of you at home definitely have found your parents' joy of sex at some point.
Or you checked it out from the library all the time.
Absolutely. You learned about beautiful bodies from dirty hippies. It was great. I think it really was the foundation for such a sexually open generation that we come from.
Absolutely.
So the joy of sex, which was actually inspired by the book The Joy of Cooking, which I'm sure you're all also familiar with, was published in 1972 in Great Britain, actually, and it was written by Alex Comfort. It sat on the New York Times bestseller list for 11 weeks at number 1, but stayed in the top 5 for 70 weeks.
That's right.
70.
It'll
weeks.
always be number one in my heart.
That is correct. I mean, I'd like to think that a lot of people were learning really yummy, delicious sexual things for those whole 70 weeks.
Absolutely.
And still to this day.
Yeah.
Actually, so talking about the dirty hippies, I don't want to say dirty, but that was kind of a terrible thing to say. About the... No, I said what I said. Actually, I went to Bard. I can say that. So talking about the lovely hippies in this book, the illustrations were actually based on photos taken by Chris Foss, who was the illustrator of the book, of Charles Raymond and his wife. Charles Raymond did the color paintings in the book.
Those watercolor paintings.
Exactly. Beautiful. So it was a group effort. Thank you very much to both of you, Chris, Charles, and also Alex out there wherever you are. Yeah. Apparently also in 1984, the year I was born. Thank you.
Some inspiration.
Inspiration. I mean, the film came out in 1984, so maybe my parents were a little late, but they still made it happen. Yeah. But if you can find a copy of this film, please send it to us, because I'm very interested in seeing this film.
I'm intrigued.
Thank you.
Intrigued.
Fantastic.
So we have this amazing bridal shower, and Blake crashes it. It's a flex. It's not just that he crashes it; it's that he goes to the bridal shower and then can't be bothered to go upstairs. He sends his chauffeur, and a very interesting flex. He's like, I am definitely going to interrupt and stunt on y'all hoes, because he sends up an amazing gift. He sends they're marquee cut diamond earrings
beautiful.
to match the massive doorknob that Crystal wears on her ring finger. So him like sending up those earrings via chauffeur and being like, Mr. Carrington doesn't think he should come up. So then all of the women at the bridal shower go over to the window and just like look at him, like gaze at him adoringly.
The first of many inappropriate power plays.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Blake is setting the scene that he ain't shit. So yeah, we got that. It is what we got that.
However, that being said, this is the moment when we drop that Blake Carrington is worth a mere $200 million.
$200 million.
Now, that might not sound like a lot of money to you.
It's not, that's...
It's I mean, when we think about the context of what $200 million really is nowadays.
My champagne budget.
That's fair. We're drinking nice champagne. Moet, why don't we at this side? Sponsor, thank you very much. It's totally fine. But when we're looking at inflation, so $200 million would be about $575,537,953.80. So we're talking about like Kylie Jenner without her head, all of Beyonce, like Jeff Bezos' toe.
How many copies of The Joy of Sex is that?
Well, funny you should ask him. That would be 23 million copies, 23,30,730 copies. And for you New Yorkers out there, it would be 209,286,528 swipes on the subway.
This is the content we came here
I'm just saying. Until they raise the fare, which they're going to do. So FYI, save those dollars.
And go to those meetings.
Exactly. 575 million will not get you as far as it used to. I'm just saying. Not as many swipes.
That is the gospel truth.
Just saying.
So now we move on from Blake crashing that bridal shower to an airplane scene. Now, the first thing that stands out about this scene is that the plane is opulent. Those seats are large.
Lush.
People look comfortable. Lush. It really makes you nostalgic for those days before airlines were sky buses. So we first meet Matthew Blaisdell, who is, someone mentioned earlier, back in the bridal shower, someone's like, so good that you stepped up from Matthew and now you're dating Blake. So now we're wondering, like, what's wrong with Matthew? Well, by all accounts, he seems to be a pretty good guy, because when Steven, who is drunk on the airplane, is causing a ruckus, it is Matthew who diffuses the situation with a gentle punch to Steven's gut.
Though, in all fairness, we do not condone violence. He does try to use his words first.
He does use his words. He's like, hey, Steven, pal, do you want to talk about it?
Have some water?
Yeah,
coffee?
That's right. Yeah. And we all know that when someone is, it appears that drunk, they're definitely... There's something wrong. There's a conflict. They are drinking to numb the pain. So we're immediately set up to know that this is a tormented character, Steven.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
Steven's played by, well, let's go back. We'll say that Matthew's played by Bo Hawkins, and Steven is played by Al Corley.
Ooh.
Okay.
I don't know these names at all.
They're very important. I might have to go back and watch everything that they've been in.
I'm just saying, I know Charlton Heston.
Yeah, or Robert Forsythe, who plays Blake, and we all
true.
know Linda Evans, who plays Crystal Carrington.
Absolutely.
So they get off of the plane. You see, you know them.
I do.
You
I do
know them.
Okay.
So they get off the plane, and Steven sees a limousine, and he's like, "Oh, that's my dad's car. Do you want to ride?" And the chauffeur informs him, "Oh, no. I'm not here for you. I'm here for Matthew." Oh, you know what? We missed a whole scene. We forgot to talk about Matthew in the oil field. That's where he's been.
So Matthew's been in the oil fields
For a year and a half.
a year and a half. He's returning home via plane.
That's right. Because they've been kicked out.
They've been kicked out.
They've been violently overthrown in the Middle East.
Exactly. Because let's refer back. 1979 oil crisis. Still happening.
Still happening. So they get on a plane and they are
Escorted.
They're escorted out. Now, at one point, Matthew does take on 5 guys who have semi-automatic weapons with his bare hands, and he somehow makes it out alive. So they get to the tarmac, and there are people lining a fence with signs that say things like "American dogs go home."
Yes. Very well painted.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and all of the men who had been working on the oil field, they look so forlorn and like angry and sad. The sweet gravy train is over, because if you're working on an oil field, like you're making pretty good money.
You are.
And Matthew needs the money, and we'll find out why later.
Ooh.
All right.
We're getting there, people. We're getting there.
So then.
Only 3 hours. We got this.
That's right. Only 3 hours.
Only 3 hours. Sip your drink slowly.
Or as fast as you want. There's no judgment here.
That's true. Oh, wait. Do I need
I get a refill?
I'm going to give you a refill.
Can I get a refill?
All right. Why don't you tell about the next scene while I do your refill?
Okay.
Here.
So in the next scene, we're just going to hit you with this image.
Ooh.
Okay. So Blake brings Matthew into his office to ask him, like, what's the situation? Like, should I paid for these senators. Why aren't they bringing the Marines to do my oil fields? And Matthew suggests, like,
to squash the brown people.
That's right, exactly. Matthew suggests, he's like, you're going to need to dig a little deeper. And in my mind, I thought, and that is how fracking was born. Now, that's not true, but it's true.
It's true.
It's true. Okay, so Matthew says you have to dig deeper. Blake, because he is insecure and he wants to protect his assets, that means romantic partner included, brings Crystal in for a meeting so he can force a confrontation with Crystal and Matthew to see if they have feelings for each other. So here we have another power play from Blake, which again reiterates the fact that Blake ain't shit.
It's true.
That's right.
200 million. We don't care, Blake. It can't buy class.
It cannot. But you know what it can do? It can buy that fabulous fur that Crystal is wearing.
Absolutely beautiful. We do not condone fur either. But this was the 80s. They did not know any better. They were ignorant.
Oh, people knew better. They just didn't care.
That's true.
It's true.
That's true. My mom definitely had a fur coat.
She was flexing the fur.
Oh, she definitely flexes the fur. Flexes. Because let's point out, you can't really see in the shot, she's wearing a short dress. Short dress with a fur coat, you don't need the fur coat.
No, you do not.
Do not need the fur coat.
So, we really have to ask ourselves, is this a setup? Like, what is Blake hoping to get out of this? And why is he setting up someone who is supposed to love and want to be with to fail? He's testing her. I think that we're going to see Blake testing the relationships over and over and over again. Okay? So, we later go to, in the next scene, Crystal is back at Casa Carrington, and she's planning out her wedding with the butler, who hates her. He's asking her all these questions, like throwing terms around just to kind of see, what she knows. It's
trip her up.
Yeah, just to trip her up. He's like flexing on her and being like, "Oh, what musical, overture would you like to hear?" And like naming all these things that she doesn't know. And you can see that the goal for Joseph is to really make Crystal feel uncomfortable. And then an ally swoops in the form of
our beloved
Stephen Carrington. That's right.
Now, it's a tortured soul. We had mixed feelings. He was drunk on the plane. He was acting like a bit of an asshole. He was kind of throwing his clout around. Now, nobody likes a snotty little rich boy.
No.
But then he comes in and really puts his foot down, and we see this growing alliance here within the family. That Crystal shows a little bit of softness, that she is perhaps, everything is going to be all right.
Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay.
She's going to be accepted.
I mean, Steven gives one of the best lines in the scene when he basically tells the butler, if I ever see you do something like this again, you're going to be organizing cat shows. Which on one hand, like, that is really mean, but on the other hand, cat shows?
I know, seriously, who doesn't love a cat show?
Yes, please, and thank you. Like, I like
especially nowadays. Just saying.
Like a little cat fancy? Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually a documentary on Netflix. That's a whole different show.
Yeah. So, I mean, Steven puts this guy in his place, but we're starting to see these alliances. And we also see this introduction of the idea of class wars. Mm-hmm. So even as we're enjoying the show about opulence, about fancy things, we are invited to think about, what happens when someone acquires wealth. And that came up earlier in the show when at Crystal's bridal shower, her friend's like, I'm going to miss you so much. And Crystal's like, things aren't going to change. And that is wrong. I mean, I wish, maybe it's possible for things to stay the same, but I'm just saying that when I become like, when I have like 200 milli, I would like to see what weird things I do.
It's true, but, maybe you invite your friends along.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, you're the only person that I want to pop bottles with.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Again, sponsorship. Just
I know.
I'm pointing the wrong shoulder.
Sponsorship. And encouraging day drinking.
Exactly. We love it. Also, in this moment, we notice, why is this house so underdecorated? Nary a photograph.
Yeah.
Nary an expensive painting. No. Which makes me think that the set budget got blown on just the house itself. And the office, and the car phone. Yeah. And the car phone.
There were multiple car phones. In fact, the next scene features the car phone.
Oh, how about that, Ham?
That's right. We meet Blake's daughter, Fallon Carrington.
Wait, hold on. Fallon Carrington. I was going to save that for Alexis, but that's a whole season.
No,
I can't.
So
exactly.
It's Fallon Carrington, also known as
Lady Godiva. That's correct.
Oh,
that is correct.
Fallon sees her dad driving up the long driveway, and so she calls him on his car phone.
On her cell phone. It's like this. She's like,
it's the size of that Moët
Hi,
bottle.
Daddy.
And she's like, I wonder where you are. Perhaps you'd like to stop and go for a horseback ride with me. So she and Blake are racing along their property on these fantastic horses.
Beautiful.
Fallon's horse throws her and she ends up in the stream on their property.
It's very dramatic.
It's very dramatic. So then Daddy has to rescue her. He pulls her out of the stream and she's like, my clothes are all wet. Now let me wear yours. And it gets edible. It gets edible.
It do.
I mean, this entire scene is Fallon flirting with her father.
100%.
Basically telling him, like, I came back from Europe. There was this really hot soccer player that I wanted to hook up with, but I came home for you, Dad. I came home for you.
When he then informs her that during his wedding, he will be inviting a possible suitor.
Oh, yes.
Possible suitor, one of the Colby offspring.
And the Colbys have more wealth than they do.
Absolutely.
And Blake is trying to create a Dynasty.
That's not the first time that will come up, folks. Okay. Let us keep drinking. We'll say it a million times more. Just keep going. Mm-hmm.
So Fallon knows what's up, and she's like, I've known this guy for a long time. Like, I know what you're trying to do. You're basically trying to sell me. And Blake's like, well, yes.
But also, why not Steven?
Yeah. Oh, why not Steven?
Why not Steven?
Is Steven hiding something?
Is there
something wrong with Steven?
Is there a secret?
So we know that Steven was upset and drunk on the plane, so he's tortured. Mm-hmm. And now Blake is coming up with all these reasons why Steven can't take over the company.
The family business.
Now we've got some conflict. We've got Fallon and Steven opposed to each other. We later find out, after we follow Fallon, after she and her father part ways, is that she has a big secret, and that is that she meets up with the chauffeur in the carriage house for a quick ride.
A little bottle of champagne.
Little champers.
Cheers. That was probably not great right in front of the mic. Sorry.
So she meets up with the chauffeur, and Steven sees them. So Steven knows Fallon's secret. Does Fallon know Steven's secret?
We don't know.
That's right. In the next scene, we see Crystal calling Blake out for his bullshit. And it is at this point that we see Miss Crystal dressed in white. She's dressed in white for the entire episode, except for 2 scenes. She's wearing blue at her bridal shower.
That is true.
Virginal blue.
Virginal blue.
Virgin blue. Mm-hmm. And then for the rest, she's wearing white. And then...
Also, I didn't think about this. Blue collar.
Yes.
Look at symbolism.
Oh, man.
Shapiro's, yes.
Esther is not messing around.
Esther is Esty.
Esty is not messing around.
Okay.
So Crystal comes to the mansion.
The mansion.
She basically says, I don't appreciate that little bullshit stunt with Matthew. And I'm going to give you back this beautiful baby blue Mercedes.
Beautiful.
That is not in my name.
Coupe.
But in the corporation's name. All right. So, I mean, I guess it's one of those things that's how rich people stay rich. They know how to work the tax code so that things stay in their favor. So Crystal comes to him and says, you can take your little car, but you know what? I'm going to take this fur, though.
That is correct.
I'm going to take this fur.
I'm going to work out with this
That's
fur.
right. So she flounces. She flounces in a cab. He's like, you don't have to take public transportation. You're like, is a cab public transportation? I guess when you're rich, I guess.
I mean... How else would you get from the house to the gate?
Horseback.
She doesn't know how to ride the horse.
That's true. She does not.
She does not know how to ride the horse.
Because she doesn't know how to use a riding rod.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See?
I mean, she could hoof it, but like in that outfit.
So I guess that's it. It's only the cab.
Yeah, she has to take cab. So she can, you take your little car, but you know what? I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this fur. I'm gonna go back to this apartment that you pay for and furnish, but also, fuck you.
Exactly. And I'm going to take this time in feeling conflicted about my feelings to reach out to my old friend, Matthew.
Oh, yeah, she does reach out to Matthew.
And this is the next moment where we see Crystal rebelling against this virginal white, and she's wearing a beautiful black turtleneck.
Very nice.
Beautiful black.
She is working that turtleneck.
Yes, the 80s.
Beautifully. Now, I will say, I did zoom up closely, and I was like, oh, she needs like a pill shaver, because that dress is a sweater dress, and it's a little pilly, but, she'll have a butler to take care of that.
Absolutely.
Once she moves into the Carrington house.
But again, with the symbolism, like what's going on here? Who are you? We don't even know the real Crystal.
We don't. We see that Crystal and Matthew are bathed in a halo of light. Matthew's wearing the light jacket, so is Matthew the good guy? And then we have Crystal in that black dress. Is she going to be tempted?
Is she?
And whose fault is it? It's Blake, because Blake set up that confrontation. Crystal didn't know that Matthew came back from the oil fields.
That's correct.
At all.
That is correct.
So maybe it's Blake's fault.
I guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in Dysfunctional Junction, we have the most awkward. You like that?
I did. I did like that. That was good. That was good.
I just thought of that.
It just comes to you.
Does Crystal even know the real Crystal? I don't think she does.
That's a good question.
I don't think she does.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, so here we have this the weirdest table setup ever. So we see that Fallon is opposite of her father, playing the role of the hostess, but also it's signaling that she's going to have to give up her place as the main woman in Blake's life, and it's going to be a fight. And then there's poor sad Stephen in the middle.
Poor sad Stephen. Also, for all of this money, why no light? People, turn the lights on. Also, carpet in the dining room. Why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah. I mean, this is the 80s. There was carpet everywhere.
Exactly. This was the 80s. It's fine. I'm going to let it go.
I mean, I guess if you have like a house crew,
I don't
you don't
care.
really care.
I don't want to smell musty it doesn't matter. It's fine. This is not the point of the show. Tune in to a completely different show where I talk about all the things in the 80s that annoy me.
The setups that are just don't work.
All the things that don't work.
This is not a happy family, and this is what Crystal's going to be married into. So,
which Blake is kind of trying to hide from her, I'd say.
Oh, he absolutely
definitely
is.
glossing over
absolutely is.
Just throwing those diamond rings and earrings at her.
Earrings and
cars.
and more.
Oh,
so then
furs.
later we move on from this awkward family dinner to Matthew at a boxing gym, like letting off some steam. And he's approached by this guy Walter, who's a wildcatter. Now we like to call Walter Foghorn Leghorn.
I'm pretty much only going to call him that because I can't remember that his name is Walter. So just be aware that when I say Foghorn Leghorn, I mean Walter.
I mean, Walter's got, he's a man's man.
He is a man's man. He has a mustache and a beard.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And also, let's mention the fact very briefly, he also has a southern accent.
Yes.
So if anybody here who's watching is from Colorado, Denver specifically, Why?
Yeah. What's going on
What's
there?
going on there with that?
Yeah. I mean,
Do y'all have Southern? I don't feel like you do.
I'm going to have to go look to like a library of like dialects, like regional dialects, like an official academic source, because I'm very curious.
I feel like they're really just trying to pull a Dallas. They're like, we're trying to make you think that this is Dallas.
They're like, hello, Central Casting. We need a wildcat.
Exactly. We're like oil fields and Dallas, but in Colorado.
Yeah, like absolutely. Like the only other explanation is that maybe Walter's like, I don't know, carpetbagging from Texas. I don't know.
We don't know. He's been all around.
He has.
We
been
kind
all
of
around.
feel like he's, has his thumb in a lot of pies, fingers in a lot of pies, doing a lot of different things, losing a lot of money, making a lot of money, making enemies, making alliances.
Absolutely. And the way he convinces people to be on his side is to engage with him in a boxing match.
By the way, boxing in khakis and cowboy boots.
Oh my.
A quick way to lose a fight. Just saying.
Absolutely.
Quick way to lose a
Absolutely.
fight.
And they don't put on headgear either.
They don't.
They
Or mouth guards.
No, they just like strap on those boxing gloves and like go at it.
They go for it.
And in the end, Matthew agrees to do this wildcatting project with Walter because he needs money.
By the way, if you don't know what wildcatting means, I didn't. I had to look it up.
And
So wildcatting is when you are drilling for oil in an unexplored location. So there is no confirmation that there will be oil should you drill into the ground, but they guesstimate that there will be.
Okay.
And therefore you're taking a little bit of a risk.
Okay.
You're taking a little bit of a risk.
So it's gambling.
It is gambling.
It's gambling with
It's
oil.
gambling on that black gold. That's correct. That is correct.
Okay, so in the next scene, we find out why Matthew needs the money.
Why does he need the money?
So Matthew goes to find his house draped in sheets because no one lives there. And I actually want to know, does anyone do that? Do you drape your house with sheets, like your furniture with sheets, when you leave the house for an extended period of time?
I mean, I have a dog, so I do, but that's a completely different reason.
But yeah, so it's not because like you don't want dust on it. So
No.
So he goes home. He sees that like no one. It's been abandoned. He's like, what's happened?
Where's my family?
So he goes and he packs his daughter up in the car, and they go to the hospital, the inpatient mental hospital, where his wife Claudia last was. They get to the hospital. Claudia has been released. And it's like, lol, find me.
They don't know where she is. We don't know where Claudia is.
And my question is, like, you guys didn't like communicate with each other at all while you were in the Middle East. You were just like, oh, well, I'm going to be in the Middle East. Bye.
I mean, I just want to say, again, it was the 80s. Again, it was the 80s. Mental health care was not being focused on in the 80s.
It was
Nobody
not.
was out here on Zoom. There was no
But there
Skype.
was communication. Like my dad was in the military and he like went to Honduras. I got like postcards and letters and things.
That's true. That's true. That's very fair. That's very fair.
So I just kind of like feel like they were just like, all right, well, I guess we're on a break now. Like,
I mean, she doesn't seem that happy with him when he
They-
gets back.
oh,
I
no.
wonder why.
because we finally find Claudia working as a waitress in a diner, and we see what is the second. No, I would say this family dinner is more awkward than the
100%.
Carringtons' awkward dinner.
100%.
But here they are, looking all forlorn and sad. The daughter is weeping.
Weeping.
As they're like, do you want to be a family again?
Claudia's
and-
at work, by the way.
Yeah.
By the by, this is not the appropriate time.
It is not.
To be discussing family dynamics.
It really is.
You get yourself a therapist. You find yourself a neutral space.
Yeah.
You discuss boundaries. You do
No.
not show up at your partner's work with your child
No,
and
they were
emotionally manipulate them to come home.
Yeah,
You don't
it was,
do that.
It was not a good look.
Don't do that.
It was not a good look. He was like, just sit down, just relax. Which is tempting because we see that Claudia is waitressing in high heels.
Big mistake.
For why?
Big mistake.
For why?
Big mistake.
Like I don't know. So we have this really awkward family dinner, and they decide, all right, we're gonna try this thing. We're gonna try. It just really. Claudia saying like, oh, well, I'm outpatient, so I just go 3 times a week. My doctor says I'm doing better. I'm going to be off my medication. And I'm like, time out. Like, I think many people know from experience, like, getting off your medication, like, it's okay to be on your medication. Like, that's fine. It's okay. Like, getting off of your medication doesn't mean everything's all better. Or staying on your medication doesn't mean that, like, you're not getting better. 'Cause
Better
you
living
are.
through chemistry.
Absolutely.
Better living through chemistry.
So very, very interesting dynamic. So now that we've had a taste of the riches and the poors, right?
The poors.
The poors.
The poors.
We go back to the fancy people. And in the next scene, Blake love bombs Crystal by buying out a flower shop and having every single arrangement they have sent to her home.
Emotional manipulation again at the core of this relationship. I just want to point out also, back it up for a second, this is why children of the 80s have so many problems in their relationships, because this is the stuff we grew up seeing. This is not okay behavior, people. You communicate safely. You don't send dozens and dozens of daisies. By the way, not the nicest flower.
Yeah, they were daisies.
Very cheap.
And like filler.
There's a lot of baby's breath. Also very 80s, though. A lot of baby's breath. But that is not okay. You want to communicate. Yeah. Communicate. And unfortunately, Crystal falls for it.
Oh, she does. She falls for it. And then he's like, are you hungry? And she's like, I could go for Chinese. And he's like, okay, let's get in my jet. So they get in his jet and they fly to San Francisco, and he takes her to Chinatown for dim sum, which on one hand, kind of awesome.
I mean, I love dim sum.
But then as soon as they're leaving the airport, he's like talking about how cheap the dim sum he's going to get her is.
I just want to point out, Quinny's mom in the chat just said, so cheap. I just want to give a shout out to that. Very good. Very good.
Very cheap.
Very cheap.
How are you going to buy out a whole flower shop and then be like, oh, you want Chinese food? Like, when we were watching the show together, we were like, is he flying her to China? Or, like maybe Macau, and then you can get like a variety of cuisines. No, he flew her to San Francisco and was like, bring in some dim sum. He's like, we can get dim sum for $20 here. And it's like, all right, what are you trying to do here? Like, are you trying to be like, are you here for my money? Be like, was he waiting for her to complain that the dinner wasn't expensive enough?
I don't think so. She still has that fur. Everything's fine.
Oh, absolutely. So they get in the jet and they have that. They go to Chinatown and everything's okay.
So now we can get started planning for the wedding.
Oh man,
the big wedding, the big Carrington wedding. So now again, talking about Crystal's friends. Now the bride's getting ready. We see her getting all set up. She has a beautiful kind of jacket and dress, again, like very 80s.
Wings, like an angel wing motif.
Up a little beading. It's very 80s. Again, this is her second wedding, so she's modest.
That's
very
right.
modest.
That's right.
But none of her friends are there.
No, it's like that. I think it was a Vanity Fair shoot with Giselle where she was breastfeeding and she had all those people, like someone working on her nails, someone on her feet. So there's a magazine shoot with like a supermodel breastfeeding, and she's got like it was kind of like the mice in Cinderella.
Okay,
so is that on your
level? That's on my level. I'm like,
so
now I know what you're talking about. You're speaking my language.
It was like the mice on Cinderella. Like everyone, like they're doing her hair, doing her nails. Everyone's like futzing around with her. And it's really awkward because at the beginning of the show, her friends are like, we're going to miss you so much. Things are going to be weird. And it's like, why aren't you getting ready with your friends?
No.
So it's showing us that Crystal's already isolated.
That is correct.
That she's already been Rapunzeled. She's in this tower. And then she's ambushed when...
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so first of all, Blake's lawyer comes in with a surprise prenup. And she has Lady Godiva, also known as Fallon, lurking in the background.
Lurky out there.
We have to talk about the thing that Fallon is snacking on. Okay. So earlier in the scene where they're showing all the preparations for the wedding, Fallon walks up to the giant tiered wedding cake, and she's
also very 80s.
It's
very 80s. So many tiers. Lots of decorative kale.
Oh, swags.
Oh yeah, they're carving a lot of melons. I'm sure they're gonna put cottage cheese in it.
Oh yeah,
100%.
That melon baller was working hard that day.
Oh, definitely.
So hard.
Absolutely.
And they show like in the parking lot of the behind the house, it's like all of these vans. It's like a mystery mobile convention. It's like van after van. So Fallon snatches the bride and groom made of modeling chocolate off of the cake, and she bites the head off.
Well, first she does the bride.
Oh, she does the
and
bride
then she
first.
does the she does the groom.
Yeah, so like Fallon is a cannibal.
100%. She's making a point. She's making a point. She's mad.
She's coming. She's
Fallon
like
mad.
Oh yeah, she's like, Crystal, I'm coming for that ass. I'm coming for like she's 100%. Coming for her. So
and she literally does come for her.
She literally does come. So while Crystal is being surprised with this prenuptial agreement, which is also really shitty of Blake. So shitty. It's like, you should have talked about this before. Crystal needs her own counsel before she signs this prenup. So Fallon comes in to watch because Fallon wants to make sure she protects her assets. As it is, she's already...
She wants to start some shit.
Oh, she wants to be starting something.
100...
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, that's...
Wanna be starting something. Wanna be starting something.
Yeah, we've definitely been drinking. That's fine.
Yes. Day drinking.
Day drinking, it's fine.
Yeah.
We do not have the license for that music, by the way. Just want to put that out there. Pop Culture Co-op does not have the license for that music. Okay.
Oops.
Sorry.
So, Fallon is looking in on protecting her assets. It's not a great look. And then...
But also, don't just surprise somebody with a prenup.
No, absolutely not. She gets her own lawyer.
You got to talk about that beforehand.
Absolutely.
And she, in fact, even asks, should I be reading this? And when she's encouraged not to, we all know it's not in Crystal's favor.
Oh, it is not. It's not.
Yeah, what you come in with is what you go out with.
Oh, yeah, fair use. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I think at this point, I'm sure that Blake is like with the Willy Wonka method, and it's like, you get nothing. Like,
100%.
You get nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
So, Crystal has been set up again. Then, we move back to the oil field. And, listen all y'all, it's a sabotage.
It is sabotage. See, and if we had the licensing again, this would be where we would play sabotage. So I need you to take a moment. We shouldn't tell people to cue it up and then like hit play right now. Okay, take 2 seconds to just be like, okay, there we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, so there is an explosion and Foghorn Leghorn is mad.
Very mad.
He
Very
is
mad.
Madder than a wet hen.
That is correct.
He is hot grits mad.
That is correct. That is correct.
He
I say, I'm mad.
So he drives off in his car and leaves Matthew standing in the oil field as they race to the hospital because this guy has been injured. We see at the hospital, Walter says to him, he's like, we're going to pay for your medical bills. So again, we have another example of differentiating between the haves and the have-nots.
People looking out for each other. It's a different way of thinking about things.
Absolutely.
And even this gentleman says, you don't have the money for this. You can't take care of it. You can barely pay your own bills. And Walter says, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We will figure it out. And that is when the evidence is presented to him that this might actually be sabotage.
It might be sabotage.
That is correct. That is correct.
And then, because this is like a 3-hour special that's introducing all of the things.
So many hours.
We have a very, very tense scene between Blake and Steven in the very manly library.
Now, Steven's been home for quite a few days. He's been lurking around the mansion.
Oh, yeah.
And Blake is aware of this. He's been informed that Steven's home, and
he's been dodging him.
He has been actively dodging him.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, Steven's aware of this. He's asked at one point, would you like to see Steven? Steven peeks his little head around the chair. And he hears his father say, no.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Blake's juking is admirable.
100%.
The man has been.
See, everything really comes right on back to roller derby. That's a different show.
It is. It's a different show.
Different channel.
Same but different.
Same but different.
What's that in the background? A roller skate?
I don't. Where? Well, I decide. I can't.
Other side.
I'm not good with that. I'm never good with this. There we go. Okay, everything's fine.
It's the first show. It's fine.
Exactly.
All
exactly.
Right, so we finally come to Steven's big secret. Ooh. Well, first they set up the conflict of that he's conflicted with his dad's business. Steven is more into solar energy.
Different generation.
Maybe see some wind turbines. And Blake is mad that Steven's acting like the rich kid he is. Yeah. He's like, whose checks were you cashing? It's like, who else's checks was I supposed to cash?
Also, let's talk about this for a second. As children who were born in the 80s, I feel like we were the ones who kind of benefited from this idea of like clean energy, things ready to change, We were the ones who were pushing recycling. We were the first ones who...
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly. I mean, who was it? The Toxic Avengers, like Saturday morning cartoons.
Captain Planet.
Exactly. Like, so Steven is kind of representing this new generation of those who are looking to maybe use their money to do good. He at one point talks about the fact that even though he has lived off his father, his hands may be soft, that he is not manipulating the American people. He's not lying to people. He's not stealing from people. Now, given he's not working.
He's not working. He's been hanging out in the 212.
This is true.
He drops that area code. He's like, you couldn't call me in the 212
it's true.
and let me know that you were getting married.
He's pretty hip. I mean, he's a little hip and cool.
I would like to see a spinoff of Steven in the City.
Okay, I would also.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because his secret is so alluring.
It is.
What is this secret?
Oh, man. When it drops, it drops. I think
it drops hard.
It drops hard. So this is a part of the show that actually made me gasp.
Same. We gasped together.
Yeah, like every time I've seen this episode, and I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, I have gasped. Because, Blake mentions that Steven is gay, but that's not how he says it.
That is.
He uses a slur, and it's upsetting.
That was on primetime television.
Yeah, in 1981. I'm surprised that they would let people use that
40
word.
years ago, y'all. It was not that long ago.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it was allowed to be said on television. And I'm also just like, why?
Well, and he justifies it by saying, oh, wait, I forgot. The DSM says that's no longer a mental illness. So even though we do see this kind of evolution in the thinking of like the American way of like, oh, homosexuality isn't a mental illness, that stigma, is definitely still there.
Absolutely.
And you know, when you think about previously when Blake mentions, you know, the reason why he's not eligible or that wouldn't be a good choice for the company, we really see how being gay not too long ago was something that was unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable.
Well, and I think it was very interesting that Steven was like, you can't run the company, but you can do PR. What?
I mean, I guess it was a time before the internet.
Right.
So maybe it's not like somebody's like, you know, kind of looking things up. But still, it's like if you know that he's gay or out in New York having flings with gentlemen callers, I'm pretty sure that like a PI who's looking at your multi-million-dollar company isn't going to be like, your gay son
is running this company.
Right,
because ultimately shareholders care about money.
Money.
Yeah, so it's really interesting seeing like the mental gymnastics that Blake goes through in order to justify why Steven can't run the company. I mean, Steven has a reason. He's like, I don't believe in what you do. But Blake's reasoning for not even asking Steven it's bullshit.
Absolutely.
It's
absolutely
bullshit.
Absolute bullshit.
So, you know, I chose this image just because of seeing Steven humiliated, hurt, and then his father he's going to turn his back to his son. And Blake later at the end of the episode says to his butler, he's like, I'm going to solve these 3 problems in my family, you know, if it kills me. And those 3 problems are Crystal, the woman that he loves, Fallon, his daughter lover, and Steven, his gay son.
I will say though that one of the moments that really makes me even more endeared to Steven, when Steven says, you know, Blake talks about straightening him out. That's some clever writing there. And Steven says, you know, I don't know if I want to be straightened out.
Yeah.
And honestly, you know, nowadays I think that that's something that is a little bit more commonplace where we know, you know, I'm who I am, I want to be who I am. But back in the 80s, that was some big talk. Now, the way that things play out, things do change a little bit. But you'll have to stay tuned to see how the saga unfolds.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that this episode was exciting.
I agree.
I was enticed.
I agree.
I do want to kind of recap because we meet so many people. You know, we're setting the stage for this like sprawling tale. So we've got
definitely saga.
Look at our cast of characters.
That's beautiful.
Look
at this.
So we've got
Cam did all of this. Excuse me, LaRita.
I did it.
Ooh,
so we've got Blake, we've got Crystal, we've got Matthew.
We're going in a clockwise order from the upper left-hand corner if you're following along at home.
That's right. We've got Joseph, the butler, who hates Crystal. Okay. We've got Walter, also known as Foghorn Leghorn. And we've got Steven, and then we've got Fallon.
That's popped collar.
Collar is popped. It is fantastic. And the shoulder pads that Fallon and Crystal are wearing are fabulous.
My gosh. These like smoldering 80s looks.
Yeah. Everyone is really serving face.
I mean, I feel like the 80s was about serving face.
Yeah.
Shoulder pads, face.
Yeah.
Shoulder and hair.
Yeah. I mean, I wish that, you know, it was safe to go shopping right now because I would definitely hit up some thrift stores and hit up those shoulder pads because, you know, I could probably make them with some.
I was about to say
some overnights.
I don't know, that not big enough. I mean,
overnight
look at that was like, those were like, whew. I mean, I remember when my mom would put on shoulder pads.
Oh yeah.
That it was like, whew.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't feel like even the overnights really do. Like, you'd have to like double up.
You'd have to double.
You have to double up.
Absolutely. So these are the cast of characters that we'll meet and that we're gonna be talking about for season 1 of Wine and Dynasty. Well, now, prior to the show, we sat down and we made copious amounts of notes.
So many notes.
And we were like, we're never going to be able to get through all of this information in one episode. And look, we did. We did it. Well, before we wrap up the show.
Okay, we're going to wrap up. Look at us, 10 minutes. We're doing so good.
I need you to know, Alex.
Oh my God!
You are the kid to my play.
Oh my God.
The salt to my pepper. The Pam to my Gina. The Mark, Bunny, Randy, and Elle to my DeBarge.
Oh, yes.
Happiest of birthdays. I love you dearly so much. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Oh, wait, put your hat on.
Oh, right, my hat.
Put the
Hold
hat
on,
on.
I have a hat. Hold on.
There's
Wait,
a hat.
Where's
There's
my
a hat.
hat? Oh,
There's
I'm getting
props.
my hat. Hold on.
We're like going carrot top on y'all.
Yo,
We got props.
look, we have to show up here. I mean, people in the co-op are doing like real stuff. Hold on, I brought my own hat.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. I love you so much. Thank you so much for doing the show with me.
Thank you for agreeing to have it on my birthday so that I could wear this hat and eat a cupcake on camera.
I truly wish that people could have seen us hyperventilating together before
That's
we
true.
pressed
That's the behind the scenes
live
show.
button. But you are an amazing friend. I am so happy to have you in my life, and I can't think of anyone that I would rather do this show with. So I love you so much, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, and because you're so sweet, I also got you your own cupcake.
I get a birthday cupcake. It's birthday.
Champagne and
Listen,
cupcakes.
People love you. It's your birthday. You're
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you,
and
friends.
You're the best thing ever. And now, because of the Ro-Ro, Alex will blow out the candle on their cake.
It's true. Away from him.
Hey.
From LaRita. Hey.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm going to take this off, though, because it's flattening my beautiful hair.
Your hair is fabulous.
Thank you. Curls everywhere.
We are hoping to do the show bi-weekly. We will be back on Wednesday, March the 3rd at noon.
Talk about oil.
Oil part 2, that's right. And we'll be here as long as Pop Culture Co-op will have us around. Quick shout out to Stacy. Thank you so much for helping us with tech and supporting us for today. And thank you to all the viewers who joined us. Tell all your friends, because it's going to be up for 2 weeks so they can watch this later. We realize not everyone can join us for Wine and Dynasty in the middle of the day, but we're always here for you.
And frankly, if you need an excuse to day drink, we're happy to be that excuse for you. Exactly.
We're right here.
We're going to tuck into these cupcakes, though.
I am going to. Oh.
I know, vanilla. That's what you like. I know. I got a marble one.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, let me not eat my candle. That could
Oh,
be
and it's also going on YouTube, so it's forever.
Ooh.
Can't wait until I try to find a real job again.
It's true. Oh my goodness. Should I give a shout out to this bakery? It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So our cupcakes. Oh wow, this is really good.
That's good.
Right? So these are from Ladybird Bakery in Brooklyn. They're absolutely wonderful. They provided me with my birthday cake for many years. We are not being sponsored by them.
We just like cake.
We love cake.
We like cake.
We also
and Dynasty.
And Dynasty. We also love champagne.
Champagne.
So, if you're out there and you either make champagne or cupcakes and you'd love to sponsor our show
Call us.
or talk about Dynasty, call us up.
Yeah. So, bye.
Bye, everybody.